Yeah,
bringing people
certainly does.
together sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I have a shared love for photography, so I'm looking forward to diving in
Let's
and
do
getting
it.
into your world. So the first thing I want to ask you
Yeah.
is we went through quite a thing with the global pandemic. How did you survive the last 3.5 years, and how did it change you?
So I had just gone out on my own as a commercial photographer at the beginning of 2020, which was I had actually put in my notice and gone out on my own like 5 weeks before the world shut down from coronavirus. And I think my initial thought, Joe, was, well, if my dream fails, at least I have a good excuse. At least I can say I can blame the pandemic. But I was super enthused about going full time as a photographer, and I was ready to work. And so once we became quarantined and kind of isolated in our homes, I really just pushed into working on my network and trying to make one-to-one connections with people. And I would just get up every day and get on my laptop and start texting and Facebook messaging, Instagram messaging, and letting people know, hey, I've gone out on my own. This is what I'm looking to shoot. This is what I'm looking to do. And started a little spreadsheet with all these people in it. I had like my network of 250. And then I got a CRM, which was crucial. And I would just log a customer relationship management system. And I just logged all these conversations in there. And really for like 2.5 months, we just sat at home. And so I was just building my network and trying to build up business for whenever the country opened, which we didn't really know when that would be. And then here in South Carolina, that was in like May. And so when May hit, then I was full, like my books were full of photography because I had been building those one-to-one relationships when we were sitting at home.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about exactly, obviously you're a photographer, but if I was
Yeah.
to put you in front of a bunch of third graders and they wanted to get a better handle, it's career day. They want to know exactly what you do. And they're like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer them?
Uh, I take I take pretty pictures that show people in their best light.
Okay.
That's the way I would put it. I'm always trying to reflect my subjects in a flattering way, in a way that'll help them perceive themselves as strong and capable and able. And, I want them to look at it and go, dang, I look good.
Yeah.
I want it to affirm them.
So what did you want to be when you were in the third grade? What was your dream?
I, I prepped a little for this one, Joe. So when I was in third grade, you're saying?
Yeah.
Garbage man. It was like
Okay.
the guy that rides on the back of the garbage truck. I mean, I don't know if I was the only guy or like the only little boy that had that dream, but I wanted to ride on the back of the garbage truck and hop off and do the garbage dump and stuff like that. So, I matured away from that at some point, I think.
My son's on the spectrum, and when he was a kid, he loved seeing those guys.
Yeah.
And at one point, we got a trash truck, and he took it up to the guy to autograph it. And man, the look
Nice.
the look on that guy's face.
Nice. I
You,
love that your son's into it too.
yeah, yeah, he dug it. Yeah. I mean, it's migrated into different things. Now he wants to
Yeah.
operate one of the biggest roller coasters at our amusement park, the Mamba. So
Let's
it's
go.
it migrates over time,
It will.
Yeah.
That's
So
funny.
So let me ask you this. What when did this fascination for photography happen? Are you from South Carolina originally?
Yep, from Greenville
Okay.
area.
So when did all of this kind of take hold and become your profession?
Um, I was always into art. I was primarily into drawing. I was always decent at drawing. I would lose patience like halfway through drawings. If you've ever drawn or painted, like you get into it and you're like excitement is waning because it's just you're not as excited as when you started it. And then when I got a digital camera, it was 2000, 2003, and I realized I could take everything that I loved about art and then get it instantaneously with the camera. So I always loved the things like composition, repeating patterns, color theory, movement, emotion, like all that stuff was always captivating to me. And then when I realized I could just get it with the click of a shutter, I was hooked. And I can remember some of my early experiences. I would just take my camera downtown and just walk around and, take pictures of everything and try it out and try to make stuff look cool. So that was 2003. Just kind of shot as a hobby all the way up till 2018 when I started taking fitness photos at the local CrossFit gym that I go to, and then putting those fitness photos out into the public and kind of saying, "Hey, I'm doing this now." And then I started to pick up commercial business when I had posted that work from the CrossFit gym. Just the next day, I had a plumbing company call me and asked me to come out, and like so, then I just kind of built the commercial business out of that.
So I remember getting mine in 2003. It was a cool
Yeah,
Pix, and the
cool pics.
lens flipped out,
Okay.
and I went
Yes.
crazy too. I was living
Did
in the
you?
city, and I just walked
Yep.
around. I just took pictures of everything, neon
Everything.
signs, everything.
Yep. Yep.
And I couldn't believe it because I was a purist. In high school, my dad was a photographer, so I had a Pentax K1000. We had the
Okay.
dark room, and a good friend of
Good.
mine who his dad had a commercial photography business, so
Yeah.
they would dress up all the foods for the local
Yep.
wholesaler and take pictures. He was like, "Man, you got to get a digital camera, Joe. This is like right up your avenue." I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just resisting it. It's like, the difference between an actual book and listening to an
Yeah.
audiobook.
Yep.
And
Yep.
but once I got it, I never
Mm-hmm.
looked back. I always had it on
No.
me. So when the
Yep.
iPhone came out and I could have a phone,
Yeah.
I could have a camera, I could have a voice memo thing, I could write my
I
notes
know.
down, I could watch a movie. I lost it. It was
It is
great.
pretty amazing. Do you have
It's
a point and shoot anymore? Do you carry anything around or not so
I
much?
don't. I have. Well, I have a Nikon. It's a Coolpix line, kind of an
Yes.
SLR.
Yeah.
And if I really want to get nitty gritty, I do it. But
Yeah.
man, these phones with the optics and what they got,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
They're good.
yeah.
They're good.
But yeah, no, I get it. But it won't beat actually having that camera in your hand and doing
They
the right.
can't get the shutter speed yet, man. Like you
Yeah,
can't they just can't get the 1/500th and the 1/800 shutter speed yet for
yeah,
like capturing motion, for capturing fast motion. So
yeah.
but other than that, man, geez, yeah, they're good.
It's wild. So, who's been your favorite photographer? Who's been an inspiration for you,
Oh man, I wasn't expecting this one.
or even an exhibit that you've seen that's been impressive to you?
I got a couple. The very first guy in the CrossFit space was a guy named Luke Tevebaugh, Tevebaughg, Luke Tevebaugh. Um, Phenomenal CrossFit photographer, with just really, I would say, kind of raw, emotional, um, not trying to be the most polished, not trying to be the most commercial, but just photos that made you feel something. Um, so he was the first one. I look at a lot of fashion photography, even though I don't really do much fashion photography, um, because I do feel they're typically trying to flatter that model. So I'm trying to pick up tips on just how to shoot people in a flattering way. And there's a fashion photographer named Boo George, Boo, Boo George,
Yeah,
who's got some good stuff. And then on Instagram, an account that I really love is Unorthodox Wave, unorthodox.wave. His name's Chris Fernando. I only know people by their Instagram handles,
yeah.
but just man, his color, his tones. He's on Canon. I'm on Sony, but man, he's getting something in his tones and editing and his color grading that it's just, it takes a lot to have photos stand out these days, I think, with all the photos that we see.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are three people I look at a lot.
So, what about a hero? Who's been a hero for you in your life?
Um, Donald Miller, are you familiar with Donald Miller?
No.
Okay, he was just a he wrote memoirs, I would say like religious or Christian memoirs back in late 90s, early 2000s, blue like jazz, stuff like that. And at that point in my faith journey, he was a helpful figure just in the way that he looked at religion and stuff like that. He has since transformed almost completely out of that realm into building a small business.
Yeah.
And so now, yeah, he just has a real down to earth, practical, pragmatic approach to how to build your small business. And that's what his one of his more recent business books is called, is How to Grow Your Small Business. And that's the one I recommend for people when they're just getting started, because it just covers everything and it does it in a very simple way that's not overwhelming. So I listen to Donald Miller's podcast a lot. I feel like he has made it to some degree. So like he doesn't really seem like he has any agenda of like trying to get you to buy more. I do feel like he just kind of has a genuine heart to help people who are trying to get going as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So, if you can meet anybody alive on the planet, you may have just answered it, and spend some time with them, who would it be?
Gosh, alive?
Well, we could open it up to the ghosts.
Oh, Joe. Oh man, I'm stumped.
Well, we can circle back around. We can come back to
Sheesh,
this.
you got
Let
the hard hitters. You got the heavy hitters here, man.
So let's do this. What is
Yeah.
your motivation every day? What is your motivation to take the perfect shot, have a business, evolve as a person? What is that motivation for you?
Um, I do want, I hope that, the path that I've gone on can inspire people in some way to believe in themselves and decide that if they want to go for it and pursue their dream and design their life in some way that they can. Because I was corporate for 20 years from 2000 until 2020, and then broke away from like the security of the day job um, and went out on my own and stuff. And I just, I kind of realized that none of the business owners I was speaking to really had any super secret sauce or amazing skills or anything like that. They were just trying things over and over. They were failing. They were staying in the game when times were tough. And so that's really been my story as well. Is like you're going to make mistakes when you go out there, but the people that are crafting the life they want are just out there trying things and going for it. And so I try to live that out every day and hopefully um, encourage people to do that for themselves rather than just living like a totally scripted life where you're just kind of following someone else's plan and you're not really, you're kind of on autopilot. So just getting out there and living life, getting off autopilot, pursuing what you love.
If you could go to a dream event and take pictures of it, what would it be? I mean, it could be anything. It could be an Olympic, it could be a World Cup, it could be a World Series, it could be a Super Bowl. What would be something that you would just totally love?
Okay, I got two. There is something about Olympic track. So like track athletes,
Yeah,
they look good on camera. I mean,
yeah,
they know how to
yeah,
they have the bling and the charisma.
yeah,
And I feel like you could use a long it's like a huge long telephoto lens and just get that insane separation with the subject in the background. That and then I would say mining, like the gigantic dump trucks and stuff up
yeah,
in, I don't know, it seems like it's usually in Canada or something, but just in those huge mining pits,
yeah,
big machines of scale. I just love those.
yeah,
So those would be two.
yeah. So at the end of the day, what are you the proudest of all the things that you've done? What are you the proudest of?
Well, I'm proud that I'm married with two daughters, and I'm just proud that have been able to provide a stable home life for them, but then also try to raise them to be good humans in the world. Um, I feel like once you kind of get past just surviving, and then you're trying to have, you have the privilege and the resources to have kind of a good life of sorts. That I just personally really want to teach my kids how to then carry that forward, how to pay forward any blessings that they've had in their life to others, and be a good citizen in the world, and just all that stuff. And I want them to grow up and make a contribution, and to believe that they can, and to have seen that, I guess, through what I did.
I've been taking pictures for a long time, and I understand how that mentality works. But from your perspective, what is it about a photographer? What do you think it is about us that wants to grab all these instants and we look at life in a completely different way? Because half the time I find myself not just looking around at things, I'm like,
Hmm.
that's a great picture. Or if I'm going down the road and I catch that goose going over and I get a good shot, I'm like, man, that was it. Like I
Yeah.
no pun intended, I killed two birds with one stone. What
God,
is that?
there's that photographer that has a quote that says, a camera is an instrument that teaches you how to see without a camera, like when you don't have a camera.
Yeah.
And I've run into the same thing, Joe, all the time of like you see the light hitting a certain way
Yep.
on a sign or whatever, and it's like, man, I wish I had my camera. So I'd say in a kind of a philosophical sense, it's helping us just appreciate those tiny moments that
Yeah.
are really what our day is made of and what our life is made up of. And then I believe that the camera and a photograph at this point is still unmatched in terms of the ability to capture one moment and to capture that like an energy almost, or just a feeling, and it can take people back. I think it's very powerful. Um, a photograph can just be so powerful, and I love looking at iconic pictures and combat photography and stuff like that that can evoke a feeling. I mean, the fact that something that we're taking in visually evokes that feeling is just very crazy to me.
Yeah, I hear people all the time say, "Yeah, I'm getting to a point where I have to dump my camera. I have too much stuff on it." I take so many photos every
Yeah,
month. I have
yeah,
to get rid of it. Like
yes.
I between videos and photos, I'm looking at probably like 1900 a month. Like it's
Oh,
just
wow.
oh yeah.
Jeez,
I'm shutterbugging all over the place.
that's so much. Are
Yeah.
you printing? Do you ever print, Joe? Do you print your
Yeah, I
photos?
do. I do.
Good.
And I'm a T-Mobile Tuesday customer, so I'll get like the 4x6s and print them off so I can kind of see what's going on. But I do. I mean, I like to make canvases and do that kind of a thing.
Nice.
Um yeah, I mean it's just one of those things that's been ingrained for so long. I love capturing it. So
What's
um
your favorite stuff to shoot?
oh man, I it really runs the gamut. I've never been I don't do like the high action sports kind of
Yeah.
thing. I think a lot of it's kind of like nature, just
Mhm.
oddball stuff that I'll see.
Mhm.
Like I was driving the other day into the city and it was really cold here recently in Kansas
Yeah.
City. And I can't remember where we were going, but oh, we were going to go down to Union Station big for all the Chiefs stuff. And I
Yeah.
love taking pictures of stuff like that. I go down
Yeah.
with my son and he loves
Yeah.
taking pictures. But I saw a rock on the side of the road
Mhm.
where a homeless guy always sits and he wasn't there. And on top
Hmm.
of the rock, it said rock bottom. And it was just a
Wow.
rock on the ground. Those kinds of things, when I can
Yeah.
accidentally happen upon life in a way that's just like a
Mhm.
jazz moment, just like it's
Mhm.
never going to happen again,
Magical.
it's going to
Yeah.
dissipate. Those are moments that I love getting involved with.
That is awesome.
So yeah, it's fun. Um, so let's say you have a dream tonight. You run into the 20-year-old version of you, and you could give that young version of you a piece of advice based on the wisdom you've gained. What advice would you give your younger self?
Go for your dreams sooner. I waited till I was 40. Had a lot of narratives in my brain about why it wouldn't be for me or why I couldn't do it, and why I needed to stick to the scripts of safety and predictability that a good working person sticks to or whatever. Um, but I believe that we do all have kind of a superpower within us, and if we can figure out how to channel that into a business endeavor, that there really is no stopping us. So, with my girls, I'm trying to get them into entrepreneurial endeavors earlier on, and to really focus on building themselves and their skills so that they can be a greater contribution in the world. I think I just kind of lived timid and sort of in a manner of like getting by and expecting the world to promote me or provide me security or whatever. And I just realized finally at 40, very late in the game, that it was just on me. Like the key part of a great life in the future was based on what I do and what I learn and what I contribute and what I do. So
Yeah.
yeah, just get out there much earlier. It's okay to fail and just go for things.
So at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, those that love
Mm.
your work, clients, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I mean, still a like high school dreamer who never really grew up. Uh, who does I like to make beautiful things, and I think as an artist we want them to be seen and appreciated. Um, so I'm that, but now that I'm 45, I'm old enough to realize that the clock is always ticking, and that at some point it's about pouring into the generations behind you. And so um, my perception is I just want to be somebody who was a good friend to those around me, who was an inspiring father, a supportive dad and husband, and packed a lot into each day. I try to pack a lot into each day and not waste too many of them.
Right on. So if anyone out there wants to hire you, see your work, learn more about you, reach out, what's the best way to do that?
I'd say LinkedIn. Just Brian Knox on LinkedIn, man. I'm on LinkedIn every day. Love that. It's been a great tool for business and building networks and building relationships that are enjoyable.
Excellent. Brian, this has been great, man. You did wonderful. Thank you. I
I
appreciate your
appreciate
story.
it.
Appreciate
Thanks
your
for having me,
time.
Joe.
Yes, sir. Best of luck with
Yeah.
everything.